Oh, man, we've been having so much fun with this conversation each and every week. The John Schneider Show featuring the Seahawks GM John Schneider, who I'm watching on the screen right now. And I got to tell you, Dave, just brought a tear to my eye as we were in a commercial break. I could see you guys. I see John Schneider pick up the little canister there of those wipes, and he wipes down the seats and he wipes down the desk. And I was like, you know what? That is a good man, that John Schneider. He knows his business, by God.
Well, you were sitting right here, and I heard you're not feeling well, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm actually looking out for myself for next week.
Well, it's been a week since I've been.
I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, listen, the COVID thing's no joke, man. It put me on my backside for a few, but I'm doing okay.
Jeez.
But just to let you know, I usually get there before Dave. That is my first duty. I wipe down every single headset. I wipe down every chair. I wipe down every piece of everything in there. So it's always clean when you get there. But seeing you do that that warmed my heart, John.
Well, I hope you feel better, and we miss you.
Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, where are we at? Where you? I mean, we are coming down to the wire here. It's crunch time. Give people a sense of what you're doing now. Is it meetings every day? Are you done with the 30? Or where's everything happening with the team right now?
Yeah, no, we're we had some players in this week finishing up our visits in draft preparation. I assume that's what you're referring to. The team wise. We had a lot of the vets back here, second-year guys working out with our training staff in phase one of the off-season program starting this week. And then, we have we're picking up our annual autism event for Ben's Fund for families that can't afford treatments for autism this evening. We're picking that back up. We haven't done it for several years, so we're doing that this evening. That'll be great. And then we're getting with the offensive staff tomorrow, defensive staff on Saturday in the draft room, and then on Sunday we have a recap basically of all the differences that we have on the board and final adjustments that we need to make between, once we get the coach's input. And then, Pete and I will have a day, and we'll sit down with Jody Allen and review it for her and show her, how we got to this point and how we see things going and present a ton of different scenarios for her, whether that's moving up, moving down at, both positions on the first night. And then, we'll be calling other teams and all the agents. And then, I tend to save my final conversations with a lot of college coaches for the last part, like Tuesday, Wednesday, when they've kind of had time to, listen to their prospects too and see what their springs look like. And so everybody's been done with the visits and, they have all the information that they have as well. So I'll have those conversations, and then we'll be talking to other teams about, different scenarios and what they're looking at and how they want to, move around, excuse me, on day one, because we have that gap on day two. I would prefer that the draft would go faster than it does, but we have all day on Friday as well to prepare for rounds 2 and 3. But we're getting there. We're finally getting there. So yeah.
So you've got a lot going on now. Before we get to it, bensfund.org.
Yes.
And you got an event tonight. It's Families for Effective Autism Treatment.
Right.
And so where can people just go to bensfund.org?
Yep. Yeah, you can go there, donate. There's artwork up there. There's a lot of people, not just people that have autism, but just special needs in general, artists that have donated items, and you can bid on those. And we have a number of awesome jerseys signed throughout the NFL that a lot of my buddies have sent over. Great, really cool deal that Tracy and I started. We started this really, Brad Brotherton's a very, very good friend of mine, and he had started a stakeout, for cancer research at, for Fred Hutch. And I'd gone to the event and really understood, like, wow, this is a very giving community. So once Tracy, moved here with the kids and with my boys, and we got established, we knew we wanted to do something. And so we followed their lead and we started the primetime event for Ben's Fund. And it's for families that can't, afford treatments for autism. And I'm really proud of Tracy, all the hard work she's put into this, and she's really poured into it. And we're basically at like $5 million. And so, all these grants that go to people that, really, really, truly need the help.
That's awesome. You guys have put so much hard work into that. Hey, getting back to something you just said, John, you go, okay, I'm assuming you're talking about the draft. You still got, free agency stuff going on, right? I mean,
sure.
It's like everything, is, does it kind of slow down a little bit, or are you just like totally charging ahead, because that's the whole other side of acquiring talent?
It's slowed down, our staff, Nolan, Willie, DJ, everybody upstairs, those, Armani, those guys do a really good job of kind of keeping their tentacles out, and staying in, quasi deals with guys that may not, be getting what they're looking for, and to see what that looks like pre-draft, and then obviously post-draft, that'll pick back up again based on what teams draft, throughout the weekend, what players are taken, and how we view our squad. But yeah, I mean that does not stop, and then after that we'll get into some June 1st cap casualty guys that'll get released based on teams that have drafted a player at a higher position and may not want to be in a situation where they want to be paying two people at the same position. There may be some cap casualty guys, so we have to have our hands all over that as well, and be involved with that and be ready to move. Like I said before, be pliable.
Hey, John, did you happen to catch the most recent edition of Real Sports? Do you ever watch that?
Bryant Gumbel?
Yeah, on
No.
HBO.
No, I did not.
They had Drew Rosenhaus on there, who everybody knows Drew. He represents some of the biggest, athletes out there. And he's a big fan of him, and that comes through the interview. And he started talking about, there was a moment back when Willis McGahee was being drafted, and he portrayed it as this very crafty move of, hey, these picks are being called out left and right, and McGahee's starting to feel bad about things. He says, I'm going to call you. I'm going to be on the phone. I'm sitting right next to you, but I'm going to call you, and that's going to get other teams thinking, okay, another team's moving on you, and it's going to increase the urgency. And I'm thinking, there's no way somebody like John Schneider falls for that. Are you even watching the camera feed of what the players are doing, or if they're sitting at a table and they're on the phone? I mean, and they asked, do you think that's what worked? He's like, well, I don't know. I think it might have had something to do with it. That he basically tricked the Bills into thinking there was another team ready to snatch McGahee up because he was sitting there on the phone with Drew. Is that something you as a GM are paying attention to during the draft?
No, not necessarily. We have the TVs on. I think I told you guys before. We'll be listening to music and just trying to have an environment where it's calm. We can have clear, concise thoughts and clear communication, and so we tend to not be listening to what people are saying. We have both whoever's covering it, both networks that are covering it will have it on, but we're not because somebody gets on the phone or doesn't get on the phone. No, I think I have told you guys. I told you the Ray Lewis story when, he did pick up his bomber phone, and we thought we were getting him until he picked up that phone, and then he hung up with John Dorsey, who had called him. So we didn't get him. But other than that, no, not necessarily. It's people are on their phones a ton, and there's so much interaction going on. It's not. I mean, to say that they did that on purpose. Maybe they did do that on purpose. But.
Well, he says he did. He feels like he fooled the Bills, was the point. I'm thinking, John Schneider doesn't get fooled by such tomfoolery. No. Come on.
He's a great guy. I always tell him, remember when you were in that movie? That was awesome. He laughs. He laughs his tail off.
Was he in Jerry Maguire?
He does. Yeah, he was in Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
He does a great job. He's into it, and he's with a ton of guys. He's with, he represents so many guys, and so, yeah.
I don't know if you knew he represents Jalen
early.
Carter, too.
Why? Seriously, what are you doing with him? I mean, look, they can't all be first rounders. So that's from a movie too. That's my movie line. You got to guess right there.
They can't all be first rounders.
Hey, look, they can't all be first rounders.
It's a sports movie.
It's not a sports movie.
Really?
No, it's not. It's very funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. Will Ferrell's in it, and. Yeah, the line is, seriously, what are you doing with him? He's like, hey, look, they can't all be first rounders. Anyway.
We'll figure that one out.
Yeah, figure it out.
Figure that one
Let's keep moving.
Hey,
let's keep talking about the draft.
Well, let's talk about other GMs. So do you obviously your buddy Scott Fitter, you've got pretty tight relationship, obviously, with him. But, first of all, do you know every GM pretty well, considering you have to always be dealing with those guys?
I'm getting to. I have to press myself to learn more of some of the guys that have just started.
Yeah.
Chicago, Arizona, Detroit to a certain extent. Tennessee. There's a number of there's a lot of new guys. There's certain teams you just have relationships with that are just more obviously you just have a comfort level. So there's a lot of teams that you have to kind of feel out a little bit, and so dealing with there's these guys on the periphery a little bit, but you have to really kind of dig in and spend time with them, and there's a certain trust level that's just natural when you've done deals with guys before. So it's truly like I try not to play a lot of games with people and just kind of get right to it and like say, hey, look, this is what we're looking at going, and this is what we want to do, and these are our goals, and then where are you coming from and how can we help each other?
Do your conversations with those guys increase or decrease the week leading up to the draft?
Increase, yeah. So next week, yes. So I think I said yesterday in the press conference that next Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we really get into way more detail on. Look, we're looking to move up, looking to move back. And you kind of just go down a list, and try to work through, knowing like what the landscape looks like in terms of who wants to move to certain spots, or people who's going to want, who you call that wants to move up or who wants to move back, and then things change that day as well. So once it starts, a lot of people will get way more active the closer it gets to their pick, because they didn't see a specific player making it to that, a spot that could be like 4 or 5 spots away. So when I say being pliable, you got to be ready, and our guys do a really good job of saying, hey, look, this team's coming up, that team's coming up, and I'm responsible for that in specific teams, and then knowing what it would take. So at first blush, we know what the parameters would be on a deal.
By the way, people are texting in trying to guess the movie, John, and they're kind of all over every Will Ferrell movie so far. So a couple of them have nailed it. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm curious, when it comes to a free agent, just say there's a free agent out there, any position, whatever that you're interested in. Can you call, or do you call the GM of their former team? Say it's a running back for whatever reason. You like this kid. He's a free agent out there.
Are you talking about unrestricted free agency?
Yeah, unrestricted. Would you talk to the GM of his former team and say, hey, tell me about so and so? What about?
Yeah, it depends on the relationship. It depends on if I trust and or value the individual's opinion. I shouldn't say value. If I know how the guy evaluates and I have a trust level for that, I'll do that for sure.
Like, are there guys that would tell you, yeah, man, his work ethic isn't great, or
Sure.
he's got some character concerns, or they'll be that honest with you?
Yeah, I really like this about him. These are his strengths. These are his deficiencies. This is why we've moved on. This is why we weren't able to make a deal. We've decided to go. Maybe we'd like to have him back. Guys will say that to me, and we do that all the time too. When people are calling us, we're just very honest. Say we'd love to have him back. We just couldn't come to an agreement currently, and we're still working on getting him back. But hey, look, and that's the aspect of relationships that's really important in this business is that people know that they can trust when they talk to people in our building about especially when they're talking to Trent, myself, Matt Berry, Nolan, like Aaron Highline, and everybody. Just that we're going to be honest about how we feel about players, and we expect when we expect the same when we're reaching out to them for help.
So pushing players, I guess, is what you would call it, like trying to. Let's say you have a need. Like
mistakes we've made, you mean?
Well, no, I'm just saying that, is there some pressure, obviously, from, whether it's yourself from within or coaches that like, hey, we don't have anybody at this position.
Yes.
And so, and you obviously want to take the best athlete or best football player available. How does that kind of work out? How have you managed that over the years?
I said mistakes, but it really is. It's self. When you're self scouting. The evaluation process, reviewing the draft, you can get in situations where, personally, I feel like, we've made some mistakes where we've pushed players based on need and what the draft looks like. So that particular class, say you have, and I'm using generalities here in vague terms, but, if you have one receiver on the board in one round and then there's a gap of 2 rounds and you have, 5 cornerbacks, on the board in those same 2 rounds, we should just go ahead and take the receiver. Well, is the receiver really the best player, or is the corner the best player with more options below him? And, in retrospect, over the years, when we look back at, pushing players up, you can do that based on need because you say that guy's going to step right in, he's going to play. But is that truly accurate when you're comparing the players? And in general, we just do a much better job when we just pick the best player and the best player and the best fit and all the other stuff. But, yeah, and so, I think you guys have heard me talk about there's ledges all throughout the draft. There's gaps in each round. And you just have to be really careful not to push a player based on a specific need or, based on what the numbers look like in the draft. That specific draft. That's why you have to be really, really honest and in-depth on your study of what each class looks like. And know that, like, hey, just because he's a 3rd rounder doesn't mean that, like, maybe he really is a 4th rounder and you made him a 3rd rounder.
Gotcha.
Hey, John, you see these lists every year, and I sent these guys a list last night. I think it's Bucky Brooks. He did the top 5 players at every position in the draft.
I hired Bucky Brooks twice.
That's right.
Well,
We worked on him as a receiver and then flipped him to corner, and then we hired him as an intern here in Seattle. I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you.
That's totally fine. It's your show. It's the John Schneider show.
Okay.
But he, I guess maybe there's some credibility to his list. So he just went through. Here are my top 5 quarterbacks in order: cornerbacks, linebackers, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
When those things come out, I'm curious. Do you read them, and B, do you ever feel like, yeah, we're not in line with these guys very often, or do you feel like more often than not, yeah, I tend to agree with how they see it, if you will. Not that that's how you conduct your draft, but just in terms of opinion, and that's how I'd rank that position group as well.
No, we look at it, we listen to it. I think if you just totally shut it off, you're not totally competing and taking in all the information that you possibly can. It's just it's another opinion. These guys, a lot of these guys that are doing mock drafts or have these opinions have been around the players themselves and interviewed the players or spent time with them. So, we would be, we wouldn't be really doing our jobs if we didn't, listen to that information and take it in. But, in terms of how they rank them and that sort of thing, no, it's more about, what they say about the player or, little, what they've gleaned from an interview or something. And, I've listened to Brock talk about this, on my way into work several times about being able to interview the guys, leading up to the college games and, what you can take from that. I think that stuff's fascinating. Guys that, like Mike Mayock, used to do the NBC games. So he would sit with all these prospects and get to sit down and interview these guys and interview the coaches and then he would have after the season he would build his boards or mock drafts or what have you, and so it was always interesting listening to him as well.
Hey, really quick, just want to clear something up. I think I read it wrong, but Ben's Fund is in partnership with Seattle Foundation. And as you said, John provides financial support and guidance to children and young adults in the state of Washington. Go to bensfund.org to donate.
Thank you for correcting that.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you get any sleep? We're leading up to this. I mean, are you like a kid on Christmas Eve that wants to go out and peek and see if Santa's there, or are you nervous? Or
no, we're just getting to that point where you really truly want to have it be like over. I feel like, and please take this the right way. I feel like our staff does such a great job with all the background information and all our evaluations that, I wish there wasn't as much time. And I mean this in the best way, for other people to catch up. or the information to be shared. You want it to come, and that's why I liked the draft when it moved faster and you didn't have that big gap in there, with the whole next day where everybody can kind of reset their board a little bit. It's like, no, let's just we pride ourselves on trying to outwork everybody, and then it's not it's what the National Football League is, right? Like all the parity and everything, right? So everybody has the same opportunity, and we just always were really excited about being able to just go right through the weekend as fast as we possibly could. And now you just have it seems like the draft's never going to get here. Sleep wise, I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm not. It's not like I don't get any sleep.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like if it were up to you, you just would like to marathon it rounds 1 through 7 all in one night.
It'd be amazing. I would love that. Yeah. It's so cool talking to the older guys that used to do the 15 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, what a fascinating. I mean, I think that would have been an incredible time to just be able to just keep going because rookie free agency is such a big deal for us. Our guys today, I mean, we're working on projects today, kind of fine tuning what rookie free agency is going to look like. That's why I said that, Bob. I didn't, unrestricted free agency or rookie free agency. It kind of confused in my brain right now.
Yeah, guys had some good ones, right?
Yeah.
Doug Baldwin,
Jermaine
Kearse. I like Tyler.
Ricardo Lockett.
Oh yeah, I like Tyler Mabry.
Yep, Mabry.
See, yeah.
Jake Curhan.
There you go.
Hey,
Yeah, we had a bunch of these.
Last thing, John, before we let you go, just back to Ben's Fund for a moment. The other part of this that I thought was really cool in reading the quote here is the small ego art and what that's about and how
thank you.
How that came to be. The quote from, tell people where the name came, what it's about, and where the name came from.
Okay, so Ben he's 21. Thanks for asking. This is awesome. Appreciate you guys. He's 21 years old, and he's really into art. He does an amazing job. I love him. The artwork's amazing, and so he's, when he started, we were gonna create. He's gonna create his own business and everything, and he works with his high school teacher, Nicole Nichols, and she's amazing too, and kind of part of our family really. And so he every time he told him, hey Ben, that's an awesome piece of art, he'd be like, hey, don't say that, Dad. I'm not taking, I don't like when people give me compliments, that. And we're like, yeah, we kept saying, like, what are we gonna call it? What do you want to call it, Ben? What do you call this? We're trying to come up with all these names for his company and everything, and then finally Tracy was like, well, Ben, you don't like any compliments, and you're like the most humble person that I know. So, what about small ego art? And he's like, actually, I really like that, Mom. I think that'd be very appropriate. And I say that because that's how he talks. He's so awesome the way he talks. He's like, it's almost like one of the Muppet guys. That were up in the rafters. Those guys talking about everybody. Hey. He talks like that. He's like, okay, I think it's probably time for you to go to bed now, don't you think, Dad?
Well, it's what we've heard is that he's told you're inappropriate.
Yes.
And Tracy, she's appropriate.
Yeah, no, I can't go to his house
guy.
like unannounced. Tracy can go there at times. It's like, but yeah, I mean, I remember arguing with I almost said the player's name. Sorry, an agent one night, and I came home and I was in the garage, and this guy and I are just we're going at it in the garage, right? Just we're having a full-on argument. And I can hear him upstairs. He was sitting upstairs playing video games, and he's like, well, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And he comes walking down the stairs, and I can hear him pouncing down the stairs, and door flies open. He's like, Dad, your language is completely inappropriate right now. And the agent that I was speaking with could totally hear it. We both just started laughing our butts off. So.
That was a good icebreaker.
Yeah,
tension breaker.
But yeah, thanks for bringing up small ego art. It's really cool, and there's going to be a ton of art out there tonight. And
awesome.
And he donates, I think it's like 10% of his proceeds to Ben's Fund himself to support families that can't afford treatments for autism. So it's really cool.
Yeah, so for people out there, once again, bensfund.org. The event is coming up tonight, and you can also go to smallegoart.com. And very, very cool story. I thought that was great, how that title, name came to be. John, as always, great to talk to you. Wish I was there with you, but I was
I hope you feel
really,
better,
really
bud.
proud to see how you handled that room when you got in there. That was beautiful.
That's how you win Bob over.
Okay.
Just be
Just clean
super
stuff
anal
up.
and clean. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I hope you feel better, bud.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. There you go. There's John Schneider, the star of the John Schneider Show here with Wyman and Bob. We'll come back, talk about what we heard from the Seahawks GM coming up at Seattle Sports on 710.